So I was driving down the road the other day, going down the turnpike, and my Ram truck, and I got the message that says service def system. Well, anyway, popped up on the notification screen down there, and I kept driving, and pretty soon check engine light came on and it said service def system, see dealer now. And then this message popped up that said max speed 5 miles per hour starting at 150 miles. If you ever owned one of these trucks, you dread that message, and unfortunately sometimes it comes on, but this was the first time it came on for me, and I didn't really know what the issue was. So I drove down to one of my local dealers and said, hey, can you scan this code for me and tell me what's going on? So I took it in, and unfortunately their diesel mechanic was not in that day, so I had to drop the truck off if I wanted to get it scanned. I was about 40 miles from home, so I didn't want to drive it home and then come back and take it back again, run those miles down to risk getting stuck driving 5 miles per hour. So I had to leave the truck overnight and come back. They called me the next morning and they told me that it was going to be $3,000, and I was like, are you kidding me? And I was like, there ain't no way. I said, what's the problem? He's like, your def fluid pump's bad and your def fluid injector's bad, and parts and labor, it's going to be $3,000 to fix it. We can have it fixed today, and the parts are here. And I said, well, I can't do that. I'm not paying $3,000 to get that fixed. I said, that's just insane to me. So I got online, looked around, looked up the parts, and figured out, well, the def fluid pump's like $1,700. The def fluid injector's about $250, and if I fix it myself, I can save the labor. So I got home, did some investigating. I actually have a service manual for this truck, and I got on there, and the code that it was giving me was P2, I think it was, I'll have to look it up here in a second and I'll get back with you on that. I think it was P20E8 or something like that, but it was def fluid reductant low. So it was saying that the def fluid pump wasn't pumping any fluid, and there was a restriction somewhere in the system. So I got the service manual out, read through, found a couple videos online how to actually ohm out the def fluid injector. And if you look up Motor City Mechanic on YouTube, he's a Mopar guy, he's got a video on how to do that. Basically, you just do a continuity test. You take your red and black leads and you put on the little def fluid injector plug. There's two little prongs, and if it's somewhere in the range of like 13 to like 13.5 or like maybe 12.5 and up, it's good, but you just have to watch that video and he explains it. So anyway, I did that, and turns out mine was good. So I took the injector out and noticed it had a bunch of crystallization on it from the def fluid, and I looked online, it said you can clean it with just some hot water. So I took it off, cleaned it, and then where the injector mounts into the exhaust, there's a little hole there, and it had a crystallized, and it was barely open. Knocked all that out, cleaned it, and then took the def injector off from the def fluid supply line, and I just left the supply line hanging on the ground. I turned the truck on, and lo and behold, it's pumping def fluid no problem. So all I did was idle the truck for a little bit, and it just started injecting def fluid right out that hose, and I could hear the pump working just fine, no issues. And I cleaned that injector up real good, put it back in the truck, and hit clear code on my Edge CTS, and it cleared the code before I tried to clear it and it wouldn't let me, and everything went away. All was good. I drove the truck now for probably about 1,000 miles with no issues. So that dealer was going to charge me $3,000 to replace all that, when the only problem was it was had a little bit of blockage on that injector limiting the flow, according to, I guess, the sensor in there saying it wasn't getting enough fluid. So for you guys that get this code, before you spend $3,000 replacing these parts, you can just get under there and try cleaning that first, and I'll show you guys what to take off and where you clean it at. And also, if you're familiar with the Turbo Diesel Register magazine from Gino's Garage, there's an article in there about where people were having to have these replaced under warranty all the time, and then they did some sort of study that found out that only a few were actually bad. They were just replacing them just to save time and then turn it in on warranty. So if you look in there on that magazine, you'll probably find that article, because I read it and I was like, yeah, that makes sense. But anyway, guys, I'm gonna get under the truck and I'm gonna show you where this DEF fluid injector is, and maybe you can try cleaning it, and hopefully you don't have to spend that expensive money to get this fixed. So your exhaust is on the passenger side, and right about here at the front of the back door handle is where that injector is. So I'm gonna crawl under here and show you. I wish I would have made a video of this whenever I was in the process of cleaning it, but I was so aggravated and in a hurry to get this working because I needed my truck that I just didn't take the time to do it. So here's the injector. Here's the line that you can pull off, and here's the supply. There's two 10mm bolts on each side, one here and then one right here. So what I suggest doing is taking some PB Blaster or some sort of penetrating fluid and soaking those down so you don't run the risk of breaking them. Let them set for about 5 minutes, and then get a 10mm wrench and break them loose. And this is just a push tab. It has a red safety lock on it that you'll have to remove first, and then you can remove it. And then this supply line's a little tricky to get off. It has this white piece that you're supposed to squeeze together and then pull it off, but mine actually broke. So I salvaged the locking piece. So to get mine off now, I gotta get little needle nose pliers and pull this little white piece out, but it still stays locked on, no problem. But I just can't squeeze it from the outside. I gotta pull it with a pick. But anyway, mine was stuck, and I ended up having to break it off to get this off. But this is a piece I just disconnect it, let this lay on the ground, go in, start the truck, let it run, and it was pumping DEF fluid on the ground. And then you can spray some water in the top side of this little injector and just clean the crystallization out of it if you see any. Moving down, here is the DEF fluid tank. You can remove these two bolts right here and drop this little shield down, and then you can get access to your pump. And you can disconnect the DEF fluid line over here, and you can get a fuel pump removal tool. It's like a lock ring that goes on a ratchet. You stick it up there and twist that fuel pump lock ring off. It's like a fuel transfer pump, like if you've ever taken one out of a fuel tank. It's a tool for that you can just remove it and remove some electronic connectors that are on it. But if you've ever taken this off, you know what I'm talking about. But right here on the bottom side of the DEF tank is where you get access to that. So one thing they did do at the dealer is they did go ahead and test my DEF fluid, make sure there was no hydrocarbons in the DEF tank, and it came back negative. So they said that they tested the DEF fluid with the DEF fluid refractometer, and they said that DEF fluid was within spec, but it was a little old DEF fluid, because I called Peak, it's Blue Def's what I use, and I called them and asked them how you determine the date of the fluid, and they told me, and that fluid that I put in there is a little old. So after I got it working, I actually ran the DEF fluid as low as it could go, ran it out, actually got a check engine light and had the truck shut down on me again. But I knew at that point it was just because I ran it out of DEF fluid, because I wanted to make sure I got all that other out completely before I refilled it. So I refilled the truck and the code went away. So I just wanted to take a quick second here and try to help somebody out to keep from spending $3,000. A few simple things to check. So anyway, sorry I didn't show the process of how to do it, but maybe if I have to do it again, I'll do a video on it. But it's really simple. Just like I was saying, just those two little bolts and fighting this little white clip that's on this supply line here, and then that I left the safety clip out of mine so I could get this plug off, but that's what it looks like. And the two little prongs go one on each side of this plug, but that's what you take your multimeter leads and stick on those, and you can check the continuity of this. So anyway, hopefully this video helped you out. If you're not a subscriber, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if this video was informative to you and you liked it, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys next time.